Avon Khan here for Seconds Out with what an infectious smile. Fred talks fighting. Fred, lovely to see you. We just finished another Misfits card which saw Darren Till, headline, it's late, against Anthony Taylor. Knockout victory. Thankfully, Anthony Taylor's okay. I heard that he came through as well too here, but what did you make of that main event between the two?
I have to say I was surprisingly kind of astounded at how well that Darren Till boxed. I mean, I watched him box in Dubai back in the summer. It was about July time on, I think it was Tam Khan's card he put out there. And he was okay. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything to go, oh, wow, that guy's pretty skilled. And so I kind of get into that fight. I was surprised how, for the bookies angle, for the betting angle, how much of an underdog Annie Taylor was. But I guess the bookies got it right tonight. So did Darren Till. I mean, blimey, what a win by Darren. It was a pretty much domination. I have to say, the thing I was most impressed by with Darren is this chin. I mean, 80 landed at least 2 or 3 of his signature overhand rights. So most normally put his last 2 opponents out. But it didn't put Darren out at all. I asked Darren about it in my interview after, and he was like, oh, yeah, didn't even hurt me. So, yeah, Darren boxed beautifully and pretty damn good as well. Using the uppercuts as well. You don't see a lot of the boxers that come over, or a lot of the MMA fighters that come over from boxing, normally stick their straight shots. Darren was going to the body, up and down, body, head, using the uppercuts multiple times as well and landing. I think it was fantastic from Darren. I was very, very impressed. Very surprised as well. Well done to Darren. It's fantastic.
You seem to really enjoy this fight. We can really embrace it and wants to continue within Misfits Boxing. And he called out afterwards, he said, Jorge Masvidal, Mike Perry, Tommy Fury, those are the names that are on his hit list. How likely do you feel he lands one of those big names?
Well, I think the Tommy Fury one's got an excellent storyline, but Tommy pulled out of that one because he didn't want to fight him the first time. So I think that's kind of crossed off. The Masvidal one would make sense. Most people thought Masvidal beat Nate Diaz last time they fought. Obviously, Masvidal fought Diaz in boxing. They fought in UFC as well, but they fought in boxing a few months ago. And everyone thought that Jorge won because it was in Nate Diaz's backyard. The judges being a little bit biased, classic boxing. But I think I'd like to see the Masvidal one. I think that's got an excellent storyline. Masvidal knocked Darren Till out in his backyard about 4 or 5 years ago. And then seeing them fight in boxing, excellent. I think great. Good main event for Misfits.
Well, another big main event has been announced. The cat sort of got let out the bag before the announcement was made tonight. KSI is taking on Wayne Bridge of football fame, played for Chelsea and England. A fight that's got your juices flowing, Fred?
Well, I'm not a big football fan. So I didn't actually know who Wayne Bridge was. But I think it's more the case where they're meant to fight someone else. That kind of sort of fell through, so they had to find someone. But with Wayne Bridge, I'm not actually totally confident in how well I know him after doing a little bit of research. So when I interview him, I can ask a few questions. He has boxed before, though. He's not a bad boxer. We saw him box in one of the celebrity fights. I think it was, I think it was a white collar fight. But he had no head guard. So maybe it wasn't white collar, because white collar, you always have to wear head guards. Obviously, it's got a little bit personal there with KSI saying a few things. But I think we'll wait and see the fight happens, and we'll go from there.
Wade Clemens makes his boxing debut as well, too. Gone from the outside looking in, and he looked accomplished against Masai Warrior. He seems to also want to continue, and there's a storyline with HS Tiki Taka where that happens is another thing. But how do you feel Wade did stepping into the ring for the first time?
Now, I don't really get nervous much. I mean, hanging out here in the whole fight week, you tend to kind of come quite close to a lot of Misfits fighters, but you kind of have to, when they fight, you kind of have to kind of sit back, and when your mates fight, when you got in front of one person, in front of another, those guys to fight, you have to sit back and make sure you're non-biased as possible, and it can be quite difficult at times. So Wade one, it was especially difficult because I've known him for so many years. I was doing interviews with Wade when I was on about 1,000 subscribers, and he was on 20k subs. Now he's on 300k subs. So I was a little bit nervous of Wade. I thought he would have his kind of wits about him, obviously training in BJ Flores, so I thought he would be able to box pretty well. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I mean, he looked very relaxed in there. Yes, he did have his hands down at times, but that's only because he was reading the guy like a book. He knew where he was coming from. He did get hit a couple of times, which I was like, oh, wow, Messiah Warrior. I think he does hit quite hard. I think a lot of people kind of underestimated about how tough Messiah Warrior would be, and he boxed pretty good. I mean, if you do go from here, looking back at Wade, his cardio could be improved. I mean, that 4th round was kind of a struggle to kind of get through. He was 3-0 up already, so he can give away that 4th round as long as he didn't get knocked down and get it 10-8 round. Losing a 10-9 round ain't too of an issue when you're 3-0 up already and it's a 4-round fight. But For Wade, I was very, very proud of him. It's really nice to see one of your good mates, for so long, do so well. So yeah, shout out to Wade, smashed it. Fantastic promotion from Wade as well, promoting all across all his socials, from his YouTube, from his Instagram, from his Twitter. Yeah, did a great job. Shout out to Wade. I'm very proud of him.
Ben, the Bane Davis, similar sort of profile as Wade, has now gone into the ring or had a fight in some capacity a couple of times. Wade has done the same thing as well too, seemed to enjoy it. Fred, yourself, getting into the ring, is that something that 2025, new year, new me, you thought maybe that I might do this?
One of those ones you put on your New Year's resolutions, get fit, get back in shape. Well, I went back and sparred this kind of time last year and I got beaten up. I didn't particularly enjoy it. I think the worst bit was one of the people I was sparring was a fan of Fred was fighting. So they really took great pleasure in beating me up. But and then I went back and sparred, when was it? Back in the summer. Or not in the summer, but about April time. And I enjoyed it, but I don't like getting punched in the face. I boxed as an amateur. I put the rounds in, boxed for about 3 to 4 years, had amateur fights. But I just don't think I like getting punched in the face anymore, And for me, you got it for this job, being an interviewer, being a person to speak for a living, you have to speak well. I already stutter enough as it is. So, yeah, boxing's not on the cards. Boxing isn't on the cards for me. See what I mean? I can't even talk properly here today. It is very, very late. But yeah, I just don't want to get punched and beaten up again, I'm quite happy doing the interviews. I'm working very hard at that. And that takes up a lot of my time. I mean, that's why I was so impressed by Wade. I mean, running a full-time channel while training at the same time is a lot of work. So yeah, I don't think I'll be fighting. But you never know. Never say never. There's a lot of people like Wade who said, oh, I'll never fight, and then have fought. But yeah, I don't think so, Ames.
That's a smart way to drive up your price for a fight, Fred. So I know exactly.
That's the Tyson Fury. That's the Tyson Fury tactic. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I will close out with bringing it back to you in a moment. But was there any other fights that captured your imagination from the card? You might have been too young to know about the Afghan Dan versus Little T beef from back in the day. But
I am too young. I am too young to know about the Afghan Dan and Little T beef. I'm 20. I think you'd be about 25 years old to know about the Afghan Dan and Little T beef. So basically, Gio Taralba, who's Logan Paul's editor, messaged me. He's a very nice guy. He messaged me about a week ago saying, do you want to do a face-off on Zoom with these two guys? And I was like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. I knew that they'd had a street fight back in the day, and they were sort of semi-known. But I did one of those Zoom face-to-face, so I had them both on the Zoom and I was there, and they just screamed at each other for about half an hour straight. And the best part that kind of made my day was when a Lil T goes, is it stop recording? And I was like, yeah, thanks for your time, guys. That's fantastic. I really appreciate it. And he goes, all right then. Afghan Dan, I'm coming to your house right now. See ya. And ends the Zoom. And I was thinking, blimey, they're going to get paid to fight on Saturday. What's the point of having a street fight now? Yeah, they're absolutely nuts. But it did catch the imagination of the public. I mean, their poster that got put out, I think it's on like 40,000, 50,000 likes. It did way more likes than the actual Misfits poster they put out. So I'm really surprised you see a rematch down the line. You could call it controversial, because obviously what happened to his shoulder. But yeah, Afghan Dan and Lil T. It was interesting seeing Afghan Dan doing a lot of spinning. That's something that's quite common for boxers who haven't sparred before. That's something that a lot of amateur boxers or beginners do when they have only had 1 or 2 spars and the coaches tell them you can't turn your back whatsoever. So that's just a novice thing. I don't think we'll see him do that again as long as he has the right amount of sparring, which he didn't have because he only had 2 weeks to train for it. But yeah, I mean, that's the fight. You always have one of those 2 fights where you got a real beef, nothing fake. Not that anything ever is fake, but that's a beef that's 10 years in the making, They've known each other since kids. They kind of grew up together. They fell out. Yeah, so it's a great storyline. I think we'll see both of them fight on Misfits again, and then they'll probably fight down the line. But yeah, the press conference, they solved the show, and fight week, they did a great job, and yeah, it was a great fight. I like it when you got 2 guys very evenly matched. When it's not like a 70-30 fight, it's a 50-50 fight, which is what we saw, It's fun. It's good life.
let's close out with an accolade, an achievement. Fred, News Outlet of the Year. I believe this is it the 2nd year in the row? I'm sure you won an award last year, or maybe 2 awards it was. But congratulations on News Outlet of the Year. How did it feel to get that recognition?
Well, last year was the Happy Punch one, and then this year was the first ever Misfits Awards one. I actually lost the last year's one, the Misfits Awards one. I think Wade won it. So shout out to Wade. But no, we got the win this year. No, it was nice. I think, as I said in the speech, I do work quite hard, but I've also got people who I can text and call. I've got a lot of contacts, so if I ever need help, I can ask them. what advice should I do for this thumbnail, or how do I go about getting in contact with this person. It's not all by myself. I do have a lot of help, so I'll put that out there now. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I do everything myself, and I don't. I have a lot of people that help me. Yourself helped me a lot back in the day as well. I still do now. So yeah, it was quite nice. It's a bit odd doing a speech on stage in front of all the YouTubers that you grew up watching, like in front of Joe Weller, in front of KSI. That was kind of a little bit nuts for me, but yeah, it was quite crazy. If you had told the Fred back in the day, I remember I did a lot of rowing when I was growing up, and I remember finishing a rowing race back in the day. So it's 2017, so I would have been about 13 years old. What was that, 7 years ago, 2017? Yeah, so I'd have been 13 years old. I remember my mate saying to me, "You watching this Joe Weller KSI fight tonight?" I was like, yeah, how are you going to watch it? And I was watching it live streamed on YouTube. I think that's where I was watching it. And so to have those guys kind of watch me do my speech and win the award yesterday was something quite special. So I thought that was quite cool. But yeah.
Absolutely, indeed, and well earned, Fred. The hard work doesn't go unrecognised. So congratulations on that. Thank you for your time as well too. Looking forward to our next conversation.
What time is it now?
Oh, it's way too late, Fred. Past your bedtime.
That's why I'm stuttering. That's why I'm stuttering so much today, and it is past my bedtime as well. That's why I can't speak properly today. It's 3 a.m. But yeah, thank you very much.
Fred, my pleasure. Thank you.
That's it.